Welcome to another episode of the Gold Room Podcast. I'm Andrew Zafer, and today I'm joined by Jarahfire Drilling's BDM, Adrian Murray. Welcome, Jax.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Cheers.
Look, we'll talk about Jarahfire as we go along, but first of all, I want to get to know a bit about yourself. Just tell us about your background.
Okay, I'm half Māori and half Malaysian. But I'm a product of the Vietnam War, so my dad did 2 tours of duty for the New Zealand infantry, and he met my mum over in Malaysia. They used to send them out to Malaysia first, get used to the tropical weather, and then send them off to Vietnam. My dad passed away when I was young, and my mother remarried, and we ended up here in Australia. Originally, we started in the Northern Territory, and then ended up in Perth, and we went all over the place: Swanbourne, Maida Vale, Greenwood, Kingsley, and then I ended up in the southwest, little place called Bridgetown.
Beautiful spot.
Yeah, I went to high school there, went to Manjimup High there, and then ended up in Perth, met my wife, got married, had kids. Did about, it was all manual labouring job. That's what I was good at when I was young, just really good at picking up heavy things, I suppose. And then I got a good gig building heat exchangers, and I did that for 10 years, and that gave me like a nuts and bolts background. But I wanted to go further, and one of my mates is a mentor for me now, a guy called, a lot of you subscribers here would probably know him as Scrum. Mm-hmm. He was the supervisor for Ausdrill. In 2006, he gave me a call and said, look, come up and offside. And that was at Mount Keith. At that time, they had 6 rigs. It was 5 diamond and 1 RC rig. And I started off as an RC offsider. I never looked back. Started off, I think they used to pay us something like $12.40 an hour. And you'd get, a metre bonus of 80 cents a metre. But if you cracked the 150, you'd get $1 a metre. So we used to just run and go hard those days. And then I eventually, because there was more diamond rigs, I ended up on the diamond rig. And I learnt my craft out there. I was pretty lucky. Mount Keith was pretty good drilling, but Leinster was where I learnt directional drilling, the importance of having a good top of the hole, being good, training my guys. And then I went off and I drilled up top near Telfer, a place called Woody, mm-hmm. Manganese. And then I ended up drilling in Pilbara. It's still with Ausdrill. We were part of the first lot of guys going from the goldfields to the Pilbara at the time. So then we learnt how to drill in the Pilbara, and that was at Rio Tinto and then BHP. And then I was there, and then eventually got a gig, an opportunity with a company called Mitchell's Services. They were looking to branch out here in WA with a couple of rigs, so I ran the show, and then I got the BD gig with those guys, and I got to go home every night with the missus. And then I met Snow from Jarahfire Drilling, and they were going through a really exciting time where they had been in business for 20 plus years, and they were evolving from a drill and blast company into an exploration company. And as for a B&D guy, that was really exciting because I could start at the ground roots and then help build a company.
And I think as a BD, it makes all the difference if you know what you're talking about. So if you've actually, rolled the sleeves up and got stuck in yourself, that no doubt allowed you to talk to your prospective clients with a great deal of clarity as well.
Yeah, I think it's been an advantage that I've had the drilling background. As you know, when the client talks to me, because a lot of B&D guys come from a sales background, mm-hmm. and so it's been important. It's been an advantage for me to know the product and know the services.
Just back to your Ausdrill days, and what a great company that was, and sort of the success stories of people and individuals that have come out of Ausdrill that have gone on to bigger and better things. But rags to riches, true Kalgoorlie company, all started in the back streets of Boulder, and Ronnie Sayers and his crew. What a company.
Oh mate, I feel very fortunate to have come from from those guys. When I started with Ausdrill, I mean, they're predominantly a goldfields company, and they had sort of were branching out, but they were big, you know, just everywhere you drove in Kalgoorlie, there was Ausdrill everywhere, right? And they had a great reputation, so, you know, and they were, how do I put it? They were just sort of, they weren't corporate. You know, what Ronnie says was a driller at heart, and we had a lot of good things like the Ausdrill way. There was a lot of things. We always got the little bottle of port that little flagon of port that he'd give us. I've still got those, you know, like 10, 11 years of the, you know, the Ausdrill ports.
Yeah.
There's just great company to work for.
And the stories you hear is how well they did look after their staff. I know my father-in-law had quite a bit to do with the building of the shed on Forest Street down in Boulder.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
the bit in the yard there, and he used to go down every Friday for a barbie. I think, you know, the way that Ronnie or Brian Mann used to look after the guys, and I think that was very much appreciated, and that led to them probably being productive. And you know, there's no doubt there was people that love working and pulling that work shirt on every day, and no doubt, you know, in some way, shape or form, that's probably then assisted you with doing what you do today as well.
Yeah, it has. And, you know, Jarahfire is pretty similar. That's what I like about Jarahfire. You know, Snow, you know, the Barbie, he'll go out and do a Barbie for the boys. You know, it's just that sort of camaraderie that a lot of these sort of corporate companies don't have anymore.
I think from an employee perspective, they don't want to be treated just like a number either. They want to be like to be seen as a valued member of staff, and they can all contribute to the company's success. And by the sounds of it, that's what Jarahfire is doing exceptionally well at the moment.
Yeah, look, I mean, our GM is, you know, he's out there. He rolls his sleeves up even to this day. We're all important. He knows who we are, and I think what I like about Jarahfire is it allows you to spread your wings a little. If you're able to spread your wings, you feel that you're able to you know, participate. Whereas if your wings are clipped, it's, you know, you're just another number. So
In the field, what do you think sets Jarahfire about? So we're talking in the field now. What do you think your clients value, what you can bring to the table, and sets you apart from the rest?
I think we're a family. We're a family company, so we run pretty lean, and that allows us to be nimble. As a nimble company, makes us agile, which means that, you know, if a decision has to be made, it doesn't have to go through a million people before a decision gets made. It's literally straight to the GM. He makes the decision, yes, no, and we go ahead and do it. That's one of the things that makes us attractive to our customers. The other one is that, you know, our mantra with Jarahfire is it's honesty, integrity, and we're local. So I think they like dealing with us because we don't bamboozle them with bullshit. You know, if things, if we make an error or whatever, we own up to it, and we fix it. And it's reputation is everything for us, especially the size of the company that we are. We're not a huge company. I've spoke to you before. We've grown organically. Reputation is everything, so we rely on that to keep us working, and our guys paying their mortgages, and then probably the fact that we are a local company still. 50% of our guys still live in Kalgoorlie, work in Kalgoorlie, and we give a lot of preference to those guys. So that means that when our clients choose us, they're also supporting the local community as well.
Without doubt, and I think having been a long-term resident myself of the goldfields now, there's no doubt that Kalgoorlie people like dealing with Kalgoorlie people, and you've got to bring something exceptional to the table if you're going to work your way into that market.
Yeah,
and that goes for anything.
Yeah,
I think it's a credible way to have that vision and philosophy for the business that and owning your mistakes. Like a lot of people in business, they shy away. But if you can put your hand up and say, "Look, I fucked up, but I'm prepared to own it," and we move forward, let's find the solution. I think that's a great way to run the business.
I think it's the only way, because I think if you sort of start making up stories and that you get caught, and then that's any credibility that you've got out the door. And look, you and me come from a BD background, and I've been in BD worked in the BD where it's all about closing the deal and the margins and all that sort of stuff, and that's great, but if you haven't got if you get caught out and you can't deliver, your role is short lived. The people coming back to you, they don't come back to you.
They don't. You can't bullshit a bullshitter. So you've got to be upfront. And it's not all about closing deals. I mean, that a lot of people get caught up in that. I think in sales, and it's, they're thinking about the dollars at the end of the day. But I think from what I do in terms of supplying drilling companies with their consumables, we need to make sure the supply's there. If you guys say you're going to drill X amount of metres, you need to drill those metres.
Exactly.
Things don't always go to plan. But, if you can put your hand up, get the solution with the client, I think that's how you've got a long, sustainable business, that's for sure. Just on to back to your core business at Jarahfire, what would you say your core drilling, space is, and what else the company can offer?
Well, we sit solely in the RC grade control and exploration space. So currently we've got 4 rigs that are grade control, and they're double shift, and they're out there working on mine sites. And then we have 4 that are exploration rigs, and 2 of them are working on a mine site, and 2 of them are out doing bush jobs, and that's the core of what we do, and we love it. Like I love working for miners, but I also love working for juniors. Love going out there and helping, and being involved in hitting something great. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Nothing better than being in the swag and with the boys around a fire and telling yarns and
Yep.
Beautiful out there sometimes.
I used to love doing that. That was go out there and I've been fortunate, made a lot of good friends in the drilling game, and it's been good. So I've been in the drilling game for about 19 years now, and I think it's really, really cool because a lot of my friends are still in there, and now they're GMs or they've got their own companies, recruitment companies or operations managers. They've all done really well, and we all sort of catch up and sort of look at each other and what happened. And we've done well.
Talking on a podcast a few weeks ago we did, and we were saying how big the mining industry is, but how small it is at the same time. But within the mining industry is your drilling industry, and it's even smaller. And there's a lot of crossover. A lot of guys, move around. If they've, probably in search of greater opportunity, the good operators do, or they start their own company. But there is that brotherhood a bit, I guess, as well, and where there is, you can share different stories or techniques that are working, and I think that's how the industry continues to improve and prosper.
Yeah, look, it's funny. You'll go to these. Like I was at the RIU the other day, the Explorers Conference, and all my mates are all working for competitive companies, right? They're working for Ranger or they're working for Ausdrill still, and we still have that camaraderie. We still talk about how's the drilling, how's it all going, and if you need, we use this. We still sort of help each other out, and I think that's been my experience with drilling. I've rocked up to a site and I forgot my foot clamps or something, and somebody from Port Longyear will say, "Yeah, use mine."
I think you were telling me a story about a radiator before we came on there.
Gus, I was saying how Gus helped us out. We had a radiator fail on one of our L8s, and we were ringing up everybody, and we couldn't get a part. Wasn't going to get a part for a couple of weeks, and we rang up Gus, and he came around and said, "Yep, we've got the exact one." Took a photo of it, and we were up rocking and rolling within a couple of hours. So that's exactly what the Kalgoorlie drill companies are like. Even though we are sort of competitors, we all still look after each other. There's no, like I said, ring up Gus, I'll ring up Matty May from VM, or and they'll call us as well.
And no doubt, I was going to say, no doubt that when the shoe's on the other foot, you'd be more than happy to help them out.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
In terms of Jarahfire's approach to delivering projects on time, with as efficient and as productive as possible, what's your approach? What's a company's approach to getting that done?
Well, it's really about having good processes, and we are in. We're working on that. It's been a main focus for us for the last probably 18 months. And that's just through our audits that we've done on ourselves. Good processes, they protect you. Having well-trained guys, having our experienced guys sort of knowing our procedures, knowing the culture that we expect, and also having well-maintained gear.
It's important.
This is really important.
So you've got to, that means your service department, your fitters and the like, they've got to be well organised and making sure that things are getting done when they should be getting done.
Yeah, look, we got 7 fitters at the moment.
It's a good size team.
Yeah, so it is about getting those systems in order now. We're still getting, you know what it's like, we're still always refining. We were better than we were last year and the year before that, and this year we're going to be better again. We're currently going through the ISO 9001 audit on us, and that's a quality management system. So we're looking at, and we love doing those audits because that shows the gaps in our company where we can improve. And we're doing that specifically so we can improve as a company. We did the ISO 45001 3 years ago for our safety, etc. And that sort of all marries up together to make sure that as a business we're organised and we're running as efficiently as possible. And then also the new software. We've got a software now that we used to use the old Ausdrill. What Ausdrill used was MyAusdrill, but now we've gone to People Tray, which is an app that marries it all together, and it just works. The guys do it's more of a flowing system. The guys will do the pre-starts. It flows here, goes straight to the people that it needs to. It's automated. We're still learning about that app, but it's just improving all the time.
Then you've got all their when their inductions expire, their police clearances, their driver's licences, they're making sure their take fives are done.
Yeah.
And it's all in the one bundle.
It's all in the one bundle, and then it turns around and tells us what our TRIFR rate is, so we can pull a report, which we do once a month, and have a look at our TRIFR. Is it improving? And if it's not, what have been our main incidences that happens, and it allows us to then focus on those incidences and make sure that it minimises that happens again.
Yeah, great. Just in terms of training and compliance, so you might have a budding or a driller elsewhere wanting to potentially join the team. Mm-hmm. Does the company help with their certs in drilling?
Mate, we've right now our expectation we've gone through all our company, all our offsiders have got to get their cert too. All our drillers have to have their cert through. All our supervisors have got to get their Cert 4 and their Section 26, I think it's called Section 26. Mm-hmm. Even myself and Snow, I've just nearly completed my advanced diploma in drilling, and Snow's doing his. So it's all about getting ourselves not just certified to tick boxes, but it's training as well, and it's proof and evidence that we can do what we say.
Yeah, I think companies that invest in their people get the best out of them as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really important, and generally the guys respond well to it. I know I did when I was with Ausdrill and they were offering all this training. It was why not upskill myself? If the company's going to help me do that.
And if you can increase your retention rates, like the cost of rehiring is enormous, and it's a pain in the arse. You've got to start all over again with people, and whether they're experienced or not, they've got to learn your way.
Yeah.
So it's so more less costly to retain people and keep them within your own culture rather than have to reinvent the wheel and start again.
Yeah, look, a lot of drill companies, well, not just a lot of drill companies, a lot of companies look at the rigs as their main asset, but I'm a big believer that the people are your best assets. If you can keep them, especially if you're a company that wants to build culture. We talk about that all the time. But if you're a company that wants to build culture, then the best way to do that is to retain your guys, because those guys that stay are the important people that uphold the culture that you're after. And it makes it easier for the new guys that enter the company, because then they can see visually what the culture is meant to be, and they'll just either slide in or they slide out.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And they're your best advocate, your current employees, and they'll speak volumes for you in terms of those retention rates, and they feel part of it, right? So, and it's easier to train 1 than 10. So if you've got that turnover, by the time they go through a medical and you get them their PPE and you've got them out inducted on site, it's just, if they leave or they're not up to scratch, just
Back to the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board and off you go. What do you do in terms of, with, say, a green offsider? Do you take green guys on that have got no experience?
Yeah, look, currently, I mean, we don't really have much of a choice, to be honest with you. I mean, one of the issues that we have is getting skilled guys, and I think that's that's a common thing across the board for a lot of drill companies. So yeah, we get the green offsiders.
Yeah.
They come on board. We have them in a probationary period. In that period, we expect them, if they haven't got their HR licence, to get their HR licence. They have to do their new starters. They have to do all their inductions to all the sites. They have to sign up for their cert too. There's a couple of VOCs that we require them to do, and there's a couple of things that the driller has to sign off that he's seen the offsider do. So it's a lot more than what it was when I first started. That's for sure. Our expectations of what we expect from our guys and the training that they need to have for the whole of their career is just it's good. It's clear and concise. Whereas in my day it was just like,
Get out there.
can he do 12 hours? He's all right. Does he come go down to the pub after and have a beer? He's okay.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Changed a lot.
To when we were young blokes, that's for sure. What's a typical rig look like? A driller and a couple of offsiders, or a 3-man crew?
Look, our grade control is a driller and 1 offsider. And look, there's a lot of advantages with the grade control. Double shift, it's almost runs like a diamond rig. But, those rigs are very efficient rigs. And then you've got the exploration rigs, the RC rigs. It's still 1 driller, 2 offsiders. Unless you have like a really hot weather, then we'll quite often put a 3rd offsider on there just to give the guys rotation to
hydrate,
yeah. To make sure that they're fit for work fatigue, just cover any fatigue issues. And we had to do that just after Christmas when we had that heat wave. We were really concerned that we were going to have some guys go down, so it was an extra offsider, and that just made the difference. They were able to rotate, and we could use the ute as a cooling off area, hydration testing, etc., and just make sure that the boys are all right. Because these days, I mean, it's really important. We don't want our guys to be injured. Back in the day, when I first started, I mean, there was health and safety for sure, but there's a lot of things that we didn't know then that we do know now, and a lot of injuries and hydration in particular can be avoided. So we just take advice from our OH&S guys, and we follow through in our GM.
Yeah, it's really important. You don't want LTIs or people off work due to something that you can control as well at the same time.
Exactly.
You can't push people too hard, I guess. Being a proud Kalgoorlie company, like you said before, how do you find Jarahfire gives back to the local community, and then looks after, local employees as well?
Well, Jarahfire, all of my directors still live in, except for our managing director, he's down in Mandurah now, but they all live in Kalgoorlie. 50% of our guys live in Kalgoorlie. We're big, we don't sprout out about it, but we're big on, supporting local sporting events, school events, swimming events. Where possible, we'll use local suppliers. I mean, we've been there for 25 years and all our suppliers are local unless we have to use...
You have to go elsewhere.
We have to go elsewhere. The guys work and they love... And we like that they're able to go home every night.
It's good. I think, again, like being locally based, it's important you give back to your community, and people do notice that. You know, I know with us, we're involved with the desert race, and every man and his dog loves the desert race,
yes.
It seems. And when they see Black Diamond, it's synonymous with, you know, we've been the major sponsor for its entirety.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's really key for what we do. And we don't do it for any reason other than, you know, yeah, it's good to get your name up in lights, but we also want to see sporting events of that calibre being conducted on the golf field. So that's why we get involved.
No, it's a great event, that one.
It is. And no doubt, you know, Jarahfire do that. In terms of drilling technology, it's always changing. So how do you feel that Jarahfire is staying ahead of the game in terms of innovation?
Well, we're always looking, right? So, I mean, we've been out twice now with those Rivian utes. Went to the Drill Australia this year to have a look around, go out to see the drill manufacturers and see what they're doing. We're actually in the process, it's all secret squirrel stuff at the moment. We're in the process of building a hybrid D65. Mm-hmm. That should be finished by mid-year, and we're looking forward to commission that, and we're expecting that to be 30% more productive and more efficient. So
that's built from scratch?
That's built from scratch.
Based on the experience of
Troy and Vaughan.
Yep.
And so that's we're looking forward to that rig, and we think that's going to be an innovative rig, and if it works the way we expected, then all our rigs will end up being the same. But innovation's a difficult one for us because, you know, sort of which way do you go? When we turn around and we look at anything new, we sit back a little bit and we just make sure that people have used it before and it's actually working and there's support for it, and that it's the right direction to be going. Because sometimes, you know, we've seen a few times where everyone says we're going this direction and then it changes and then the clients don't want anything to do with it. They want a different direction.
Can be a costly investment.
It can be a costly investment.
if it's a one-hit wonder and then you can't use it again.
Exactly, and I've seen heaps of those, you know, $1 million down the drain because we've changed direction here. Yeah. So when we do look at innovation, it's done in a very, I suppose, frugal way. But upon saying that, I mean, we have spent millions over the last few years getting new gear, the latest compressors, boosters, software, everything, you know. So it is something that we're wholeheartedly behind. We just have to be smart about it.
Yeah, and with technology, things are always changing, aren't they? So it's hard to keep up with all the bloody time, but you've got to ensure that you can ascertain if that's right for you, like you say. So sit back, have a look, and then you can make your own decision based on your own experience.
Do your due diligence on it, and, you know.
What do you think at the moment the biggest challenges are in the drilling industry, and how do you think they can be overcome, if there are any? And what do you foresee sort of in the next 12 months?
Well, skilled labour is a hard one, and we touched on that before. With the drillers, it's hard to get, you know, skilled drillers. So what you have is you've got a lot of drillers been drilling for a couple of years, but the guys that we're after, the guys that have, you know, drilled for 6-7 years actual drill time, and those guys are pretty rare. The reason we want those guys is obviously once they get to that level, they're just more than just a driller. They're a rig manager, which is kind of like what we're after these days. We're not after what you would call like a lever attendant anymore. He just sits there and he just looks down and lets his offsiders do anything they want. We want guys that can turn around, drill, keep an eye on the offsiders, make sure they're trained, make sure maintenance is done. So the package that we're after is completely different. So that's one of the things. So that's just a patience game, and if we're not getting those guys, then it's about keeping our guys, retaining our guys, getting them trained to the level that we want, and offering them a clear career progression so that they can see that it's worth staying with us. The other one is always the fluctuating market. I've been, since 2006, I've seen the price of nickel fall off a cliff twice. I was there with iron ore dropped from $160 a tonne down to, 40
yeah, mid-40s,
something a tonne, and that was, dire times. A couple of years ago, nickel, like I said, nickel and lithium fell off a cliff again.
Yeah.
And that was immediate, and that really affected a lot of drill companies, and then the rates drop, and the competition is really fierce. And all we can do is to deal with that is, like I said before, we run lean, so we can adapt, having a company that's nimble, adaptable, and retaining our guys so that we can still offer a great service to our clients in those times.
And that's a tough one. Like, if you've got a great work crew and you've got all your rigs out and you're going, everything's going really well, and then you may have a couple, demob or whatever, but you don't want to lose your crew, then you've got to find ways to retain the good guys as well, because you might not want anyone to go. Like, you always sort the shit from the clay, but if you've got a really good crew of blokes, you've got to try and keep them and be nimble, like you're saying, try and get those rigs back out. I guess the buoyancy of the price of gold at the moment, that must be a lure. And do you think that's helped the company at all, or?
Yeah, look, I think because we're in the gold fields, and we've got some great clients that are in the gold space. That's helped us a lot, and we've been very fortunate that we haven't had any dire straits in regards to drilling opportunities for us. But the fact that gold's buoyant certainly helped, because I think it was looking pretty bleak there a couple of years ago.
It was, but it continues to grow. So may it long continue, and we can all be in a job, Jack.
Exactly.
Just can you tell me about a standout project that comes to mind where Jarahfire's really delivered over and beyond the expectations of the client?
Look, I mean, my opinion, we're always doing that. But there was one where we had a client, a well-known client in the lithium space a few years ago, and they had 3 months to get stuff done, and we pulled rigs from other clients, and we set up a camp there, and we went for it. We had rigs double shifting. We had the RC deeper hole rig going out and doing deep holes, and then we made the ahead of time, and they were really stoked, and they still continue to be a client of ours today. But we'll do things like we'll have a client say, we want to do a job, we can't win it, but we need a geo. We'll organise them a geo. We need to do the job, but we're short of fieldies. We'll give our guys as fieldies. We've even had times when there was a stage there post-COVID where you couldn't get accommodation in Kalgoorlie. I think a lot of the hotels were charging $500 a night or whatever, and our clients, one of our clients couldn't get accommodation. Well, we've got a house in Kalgoorlie, and we got accommodation in the yard.
They'd be stoked with that.
Yeah,
it sorts a problem out for them and whatnot.
Yeah, certainly does, yeah.
Just in terms of the next, say, 12, 18 months, what's on the horizon for Jarahfire? You meant the commissioning potentially of this hybrid D65, but what else do you see, what do you envisage happening over the next period of time?
Well, we are going through a renaissance when it comes to sort of like training our guys. So we've got, like I said to you, we're really focusing on certifying our guys, our supervisors, getting them the right education and the right evidence, like right training. We're doing a quality control audit as we speak for our ISO 9001. We're really looking forward to those. The beauty of what I like about Jarahfire is when we get those, it's those ISO 45,000 ones, etc. It can sound like we're ticking a box, but we actually look at it as an opportunity it's basically a giant audit of the company. So we look forward to it because it's the one way that we can tell where our weaknesses are and where we need improving, and that's really important for us if we want to be a successful company, which is what we want to be. We want to be a successful drill company. We've been in business for 25 plus years. I think Jarahfire started in 1998, and we have aspirations for it to be for another 20 plus years, but one that's grown with the times and a well-oiled machine.
Been through a couple of ISO audits with previous employers, and you do work out what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. About to go through one with Black Diamond at the moment, but we've been preparing for that for the last 9 months. So we've been, getting all of our ducks in a row, and it's not just so we get over the line. We want to be the most efficient and effective company that we can be.
That's right.
Safety is always paramount, regardless of anything else. It's about making sure that your people get home at the end of each shift, at the end of each swing. That's key. But if you're efficient in all other areas, then everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, that's right. Going back to safety, I mean, that is an important one. And, we're still having... And it wasn't something when I started drilling, you sort of say, what do they want us to do now? And I didn't really, factor the importance of it until I became a supervisor. And then you start seeing from other companies, you really get exposed to the incidences that happen. And you realise, now running Jarahfire, you have a look at the incidences that we have, and we turn around and say, oh, we can do better here. And then last, we're still having people that pass or, get killed up on site. So, it's a real important thing for us to be able to sleep at night. And one way to do that is have good safety systems in place.
It's good, mate. Yeah. Now, just wrapping up, and thanks for joining us. If someone watching the podcast want to get in touch with Jarahfire Drilling or yourself, how do they go about that, mate?
Well, the easiest way is just go to our webpage, jarahfiredrilling.com.au. My contact is there, my personal contact's there. I'm really active on LinkedIn, so if you look Jarahfire up, you'll always see me posting.
I see you on there all the time, brother.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
good on you.
Try just to increase brand awareness, I'm all the time. So reach out, and it's Adrian Murray, Jarahfire Drilling.
Good, we'll do that. That's the end of another Gold Room podcast. Thanks for joining us. Thanks a lot for joining us as well, Jax.
No worries.
Remember to like our Facebook page, Instagram, LinkedIn. Is that what we got? Yep, all that social media. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you again.